It was supposed to be a decisive night in Ligue 1, a night that would be remembered for years to come by everyone who loves French football. Nantes, desperate to avoid relegation and fighting for their very existence in the top flight, faced Toulouse at home in a match that felt like a final. The air was thick with nerves and hope, a heavy mixture that seemed to settle over every seat in the stadium. For Nantes fans, the stakes could not be higher. Every supporter knew what was on the line, not just a win, but the future of their beloved club. Their club, a fixture in French football with a proud history and generations of loyal fans, was hanging by a thread, its legacy at risk. The stadium filled up early, as if arriving sooner could somehow influence the outcome, as if their presence alone could tip the scales. Supporters packed the stands, waving yellow and green banners high above their heads, creating a sea of color and passion. Many wore scarves, faces painted for luck, hoping their devotion would bring a change in fortune. But beneath the surface, the mood was tense, smiles were rare, and conversations were hushed, filled with worry about what the night might bring. Nantes had endured a hard season, one filled with disappointment, frustration, and moments when hope seemed to slip away. Losses piled up, and hope faded week by week. Each defeat felt heavier than the last, casting a shadow over the club and its supporters. The pressure on players was obvious. Every touch of the ball, every decision on the pitch, carried the weight of an entire city's expectations. Every pass, every tackle seemed more important than ever before. The smallest mistake could mean disaster, while a single moment of brilliance could change everything. Fans sang louder than ever, urging their team on with chants and songs that echoed through the night, trying to lift the players' spirits. But whispers of unrest spread even before kickoff. Some fans feared the worst, while others clung to hope, debating what the future might hold. Security staff watched the crowd closely, sensing the tension that simmered just below the surface, ready to boil over at any moment. As the match began, everyone knew this night could decide more than just 3 points. It was a battle for pride, for survival, and for the soul of the club. For Nantes, it was about more than football. It was about pride, survival, and the future of Nantes in Ligue 1, a future that hung in the balance as the whistle blew. From the opening minutes, trouble was brewing. Some fans were restless, shifting in their seats. A few voices shouted angrily at poor passes or missed chances. The atmosphere was electric, but not in a good way. Soon, flares started to appear in the stands. Red and orange lights glowed through the smoke. Security guards pointed and radioed for support. The flares filled the air with thick, acrid smoke, making it hard to see the pitch in places. The noise in the stadium grew louder. Chants turned into angry jeers. A group of fans behind one goal began to push forward, pressing against barriers. It was clear that the mood was turning darker, and everyone could feel it. Some fans waved their arms and shouted at security. Others tried to climb over advertising boards. This was more than just frustration. It was the start of chaos. As the minutes ticked by, more and more flares were lit, their red and orange flames flickering in the night air. The crowd, already buzzing with anticipation, seemed to feed off the growing energy, each flare adding to the electric atmosphere. The bright lights flashed across the stands, painting faces in wild colors and casting dramatic shadows. Every corner of the stadium glowed, as if the entire arena was set alight by the passion of the supporters. The thick smoke hung over the pitch, swirling around the players and drifting slowly across the field. It blurred the lines of the game, making it hard to see, and gave the whole scene an almost surreal, dreamlike quality. Some flares were thrown onto the field, burning holes in the grass and leaving blackened marks behind. The acrid smell of smoke mixed with the scent of scorched turf, filling the air with tension. Security staff rushed to the affected areas, weaving through the chaos, but there were too many people and not enough guards to control the swelling crowd. Their bright vests were barely visible in the haze. The stewards tried to calm fans down, raising their voices and gesturing for order, but their words were drowned out by angry chants and piercing whistles. The crowd's frustration only seemed to grow louder. The tension reached a boiling point. Faces in the crowd twisted with anxiety and anger, eyes wide as the situation threatened to spiral out of control. Fans started banging on the metal fences, the metallic clang echoing through the stadium like a warning bell. The barriers shook under the force of their fists, adding to the sense of impending chaos. Some threw objects onto the pitch, plastic bottles, coins, and even pieces of broken seats, anything they could get their hands on. The air was thick with flying debris. Bottles, coins, and even broken seats landed near the players, who nervously glanced around for safety. The noise was deafening, a wall of sound that made it impossible to think clearly. TV cameras captured the panic as players looked nervously to the sidelines, searching for guidance from coaches and officials. Their faces betrayed a mix of fear and uncertainty. The referee, sensing the danger, blew his whistle and stopped the game for a moment, trying to restore order and protect the players. He spoke with team captains and officials at the center of the pitch, urgently discussing what to do next as the chaos continued to unfold around them. But the unrest only grew, with more fans joining in, their anger and frustration boiling over. The atmosphere was charged, every second feeling more dangerous than the last. The stands were now a sea of angry movement and red smoke, a living, breathing mass of emotion. The stadium had become a cauldron, its energy threatening to spill over at any moment. Suddenly, the worst happened. A group of Nantes supporters broke through the barriers. They ran onto the pitch, waving scarves and shouting. Security tried to stop them, but the crowd was too strong and determined. Dozens of fans spilled onto the field. Some sprinted towards the players, who backed away in fear. Others stood in the center circle, waving flags and lighting more flares. The pitch was no longer safe for football. Nantes players quickly headed for the tunnel, helped by staff. Toulouse players followed, looking shocked and confused. Coaches yelled for everyone to move quickly. The stadium announcer pleaded for calm, but few listened. Riot police in full gear rushed onto the field. They formed a line to protect the players and officials. The scene was chaotic, smoke swirling and sirens blaring. The match had turned into a crisis. As the pitch filled with fans, safety instantly became the top priority for everyone involved. What started as a regular match quickly turned into a scene of confusion and concern, as hundreds of supporters spilled onto the grass, overwhelming the usual boundaries between players and spectators. Players from both teams were rushed off the field by staff and security, their faces etched with worry as they tried to process what was happening around them. The urgency was clear. Getting the athletes to safety was the only thing that mattered in that moment. Some looked frightened, glancing back at the chaos behind them, unsure if the situation would escalate further. The roar of the crowd, once a source of motivation, now sounded threatening and unpredictable. Coaches shouted instructions, their voices cutting through the noise, making sure no one was left behind. They moved quickly, counting heads and guiding players toward the tunnel, determined to keep their teams together and out of harm's way. In the stands, more police and stewards poured in, responding to urgent calls for backup. Their presence was meant to restore order, but the sheer number of fans made the task daunting. They tried to push fans back, using shields and forming lines across the grass. The riot police moved with precision, creating barriers to separate the crowd from the players and officials, hoping to prevent any injuries or further escalation. Some fans threw insults, shouting at officers and stewards, but most obeyed when they saw the heavy police presence and realized the seriousness of the situation. The mood shifted from excitement to anxiety as the reality of the emergency set in. The stadium was tense, the noise echoing off the walls. Every shout and movement seemed amplified, and a sense of uncertainty hung in the air as people waited for instructions. Officials met quickly at the side of the pitch, huddling together to assess the risks and decide on the next steps. Their faces showed the weight of responsibility as they tried to balance the hopes of thousands with the need for safety. They spoke with the referee, club directors, and police leaders, exchanging urgent updates and weighing their options. The decision was not taken lightly, but everyone knew that safety had to come first. Everyone agreed the situation was just too dangerous to continue. The announcement was made, the match would be abandoned, and the stadium would be cleared as quickly and safely as possible. The match was no longer about football. It was about keeping people safe. Security teams worked tirelessly to guide fans, players, and staff toward the exits, doing their best to prevent panic and ensure a calm evacuation. Fans in the stands began to realize the match would not resume. Disappointment and frustration were visible on their faces, but most understood that the decision was necessary. Some booed, venting their anger at the abrupt end, while others quietly gathered their belongings and began to leave, still processing the chaos they had just witnessed. The chaos had forced everyone to rethink what mattered most: safety. As the stadium emptied and the noise faded, the message was clear. In moments like these, protecting lives is more important than any game. After a long pause, the referee made his decision. He announced that the game was abandoned. The risk to players, staff, and fans was simply too great. There could be no more football that night. Stadium speakers repeated the message in French and English. "For your safety, please leave the stadium slowly," the announcer said. Some fans ignored the call, but most began to file out. The match, once full of hope, now ended in disappointment and shame. Officials from both clubs met with league representatives. They all agreed that safety must come first. The referee's report would explain exactly what happened, naming the main reasons for stopping the game. It was a sad night for everyone. Fans, players, and staff all left with heavy hearts. The chaos on the pitch would make headlines across France and beyond. The pitch invasion was not just random violence, it was the result of months of frustration. Nantes supporters had watched their team struggle all season. Each loss hurt more than the last. Relegation seemed almost certain, and hope had turned into anger. Many fans felt the club's management had let them down. They wanted to show their frustration, to make their voices heard. But some went too far, crossing the line from protest to chaos. For some, the pitch invasion was a desperate cry for change. They wanted to shake the club, to demand better results next year. Others just wanted to vent their anger in a public way. But when anger turns into violence, it hurts the team even more. The chaos on the pitch did not help Nantes. If anything, it made things worse. With the match abandoned, Nantes now faces serious consequences. The French Football League will investigate. If they find the club failed to control its fans, punishments will follow. One possible outcome is losing the match by default. Toulouse could be awarded a 3-0 win, which would hurt Nantes even more. The league could also force Nantes to play future games behind closed doors, with no fans allowed in. Financial penalties are likely as well. The club might be fined thousands of euros. Extra security measures will be required for future matches. The stadium could even be closed for several games. These punishments are meant to send a message. Clubs must keep their fans under control or pay the price. Football is more than just a game. It brings people together, uniting fans in joy and heartbreak. But when order breaks down, everyone suffers. Clubs are always responsible for their fans' actions, inside and outside the stadium. Safety is the most important thing. Players, staff, and supporters all deserve to enjoy the game without fear. If clubs fail to keep order, the consequences are serious. Matches can be lost, stadiums closed, and fans banned. That is why rules are so strict. The league must protect the spirit of football. When chaos takes over, it damages the sport and hurts its future. In the end, keeping order at matches is not just about rules. It is about respect for the game, for each other, and for the future of football itself.